It's really great. But without further ado, why don't we start reading? How about we? The Russian sleep experiment.
Let's get into this classic. Let's see what it's got in store.
So, we begin with Russian... Oh my God, we don't begin with that.
Yeah,
Russian?
you can do better.
Yikes. I can't.
You're a voice actor, by God, act like it.
I know. But I'm a dyslexic voice actor, so a lot of it's improvised, all right? I can't read scripts as they were.
I can voice act as long as someone says it to me first. I can't.
Okay. That's a nice thing, that you're just like a little chameleon. You're able to copy stuff.
And the general tone of their conversations took a darker aspect after the 4-day mark.
That would have been me 3 hours into this experiment. I would have immediately been talking about how, life is meaningless. I would have immediately gone into nihilism without a catnap. You find me without a catnap, I will be just talking about all the dark things in my life. That's definitely... But how cruel is this? I mean, this is some next level torture. At this point, it's got to be reminiscent of like some kind of smoking bar or something like that in New York. It's got to be some place where the hipsters go to smoke their European cigarettes. And, whenever someone like lets the door open, they say, close it.
That's what comes to your mind when you hear this. When you hear skin and flesh and bodily fluids all over the room, you're like, Europeans, am I right?
Yeah. No, not Europeans. I think of 5'4" hipsters in Hoboken, New York, sitting there, and they're open, or New Jersey, where the fuck Hoboken is, and they're sitting there and they're just like, when they shut the door, you're letting all the good smoke out. Is what they say. Because I've been to some of those places, let me tell you, and it's hell. it's its own little gas chamber, let me tell you, and it is not a fun place to be. There's always one pool table, and there's always two people that don't know how to play pool on the pool. It doesn't matter.
You're right. All I'm saying is that's just as bad. Just as bad as what we're talking about.
I hate to say it. I don't want to be this kind of guy, but I do feel like it is just as bad. That's just me, though. More. Over and over. Weaker and weaker until he finally fell silent. Like I said, let me tell you, my little Monster Energy drink there. That's fine. But I do think that this also is beginning to feel like somebody definitely went to Barnes & Noble and just bought a Grey's Anatomy book. Is what it's feeling like. There's so much.
You're being a bit. I think I'm still into it. I think you're being a bit mean. No.
I'm saying that I'm just saying I like it too. Listen, when I say these things, it isn't a direct me being like this is bad. I'm just saying that like with how medical it's getting so quickly, it definitely feels like someone was just like, okay, well, what's this? And then they just kind of. We're going into that. And there was no prep time also for this, right? I could see a person sitting here writing this with a nice glass of red wine, and they bust open one of those like heavily illustrated Barnes & Noble collectible books, hardback books of Grey's Anatomy. I think the guy was just looking at tons of, source material for old-timey doctors and stuff and all kinds of things that, how do things connect with each other? But I appreciate that. I appreciate the level of... detail and
I think you're a hater. I think this is
okay. All right, man. It's not true.
I think this is fraudulent. I think this is a cheap shot at quality storytelling. I for one won't stand for it. Me and the Russian sleep experiment truthers don't abide by this.
Listen, I like it. Is what I'm saying. I think it doesn't matter. All I'm going to say is the only real criticism here, because whatever you can say about the Grey's Anatomy book, sure. But what I guess the big thing here is repeating the word more over and over, weaker and weaker, until I finally went silent. That's right up my alley. I like that. Okay. It's getting kind of it's into the cheesy realm of like this is the part in the movie too where he says that, and his eyes are all jaundiced up, and he's looking around until they roll into the back of his head. He's like, more, whatever. And then all the doctors look at each other, and they're like, gulp, right? They probably don't say the word gulp, but they do gulp. And it's a nice beat. It's a nice beat. Gulp?
I'm gonna keep reading before you keep slandering, digging this hole for yourself.
Okay, all right.
Okay. Most of them were from the force of his own muscles. His own muscles had exerted on them. All right, I'm so back. That goes so hard. They had so much oxygen in their system that their bodies were like bulking up, that their muscles were becoming super strong. Just with the wrist, he's able to like punch through the strap and the soldier holding it down. His bones are shattering from the mass of his own muscles, all this oxygenation, and then the moment he goes to sleep, he's dead. I love it. That's cool. That's cool.
No, it's definitely levels of anime that's being.
Oh my gosh, that's it. We're gonna fight right now.
No, it's good. I think it's fun. I like how over the top it is.